Ladies and gents, welcome to the nightmare known as qualified immunity, a podcast where two people with multiple years of experience inside the legal system discuss it, debate it, and eventually attempt to save it. Saving it might be a little too much. My name is Greg Engel. I spent almost a decade in a law enforcement capacity in multiple roles, most recently as a normal police officer. Ish. We're going to put an ish in there. My co-host, his name is Lucas Cohen. He's a third-year law student at a very prestigious university, and very soon will achieve his dream of becoming a lawyer.
Hi, everybody.
I didn't say it.
I know. I'm not asking any questions anymore. If you're not going to say it, I'm just going to keep going.
And one day we'll want to punish and enslave society by being an assistant district attorney, which was his lifelong wet dream. Tonight, we're going to talk about something fun.
Yeah, nothing's more fun than being abducted by federal agents.
On American soil.
On
American soil. So here's the topic of discussion for tonight. And we're going to have some very lively debate over this. I've had some on the phone already today. I've had some in text messages. When I told some people what the show was going to be about tonight, it became a little bit
heated,
divisive. Let's just say divisive.
Divisive's good. I mean,
do federal agents, backstory to this, federal agents have been attempting to quote unquote protect federal assets in Portland. They may or may not have gone a little over their boundaries. May or may not. There's no qualitative proof yet. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, recently just said that he is going to send a surge of federal agents into major metropolitan areas to, quote-unquote, quail the violence. He said stop the violence because quail is probably not in his vocabulary. But he is sending federal agents into major metros, including New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, Portland, Seattle, Los Angeles.
I was going to say Oakland, California, I think was on there. Well, specifically Oakland, which I thought was weird.
That's not weird.
Not weird.
You ever been to Oakland?
No.
That's why you find that weird.
Obviously, I haven't been there.
Like, Oakland and Baghdad share a lot of similar properties.
Isn't there like a town in Michigan that... Never mind.
A town in Michigan that's basically Little Baghdad?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so I did have that right.
Yeah. Dearborn, Michigan.
Yes. That's the one.
You're welcome. So, there's a lot of controversy here. Because the mayors don't want them there.
Did you see where one of the mayors was actually
tear gassed? Yeah.
Yeah, tear gassed. Well, while negotiating with protesters, rioters, I'm not sure what stage they were in. I think they were still in the protest stage. I mean, it was still peaceful, from what I understand.
Here's my backside to that, and I'm going to piss some people off when I say this. I don't condone rioting. I don't, because I do not believe it is advantageous to a cause to destroy individual property.
I mean, you get a lot further not doing that.
That being said, there is a back argument to this of going, well, why did they peacefully protest? They did. You got pissed when they knelt in the national anthem. You got pissed when they wore shirts that said, I couldn't breathe at NBA practices. You got pissed about quit choking on the cock of saying you're conservative when you're really not. Sorry, not sorry.
Constitutionalists.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
that term.
I have so many friends that say that they're constitutionalists, and they, for the sake of being controversial, they're bootlickers.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a better word for it.
Well, and, I used to be proud because people would say, and I've heard this multiple times in different forms, but the biggest compliment I ever got was, I'm the most libertarian person anybody's ever met that understands we still need roads. That being said, I never said they had to be paved.
Yeah.
But the problem that we have now run into is And it's the perfect meme that goes around. We need assault rifles in case the government gets too tyrannical and starts taking over our cities.
Republicans say
this all the time. Like, Republicans say this all the time. We need assault rifles in case the government gets too tyrannical. We have to stop it. Meanwhile, Daddy Trump is sending federal agents, basically in an army, into cities.
Well, we don't know who they are, more or less. I mean, they're federal. That's all we know. Because they didn't ID themselves.
Well, it's easy to say. It's easy to slap on a patch under everybody. It says Department of Homeland Security.
True.
I mean, it's stupid easy.
Yeah. Patriot
Act, National Defense Authorization Act. You can slap a Department of Homeland Security, DHS police.
I know, it just sucks so much.
I have one of the patches.
It just sucks so much.
It's easy. It's like, but Republicans have had this argument for years. We can't give up our AR-15s because what if the government gets too tyrannical? It's our job to stop them. And you're over there choking on a boot.
Federal agents are literally grabbing protesters off the street
and blackbagging them.
Yes, they're throwing them into vans, and I don't know if they're ever seen again. I don't know.
Well, if they okay, so the argument was made to me today on the phone. Well, if they believe they're Antifa has been designated as a domestic terrorist organization. Therefore, they don't fall under normal law. They fall under Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act didn't nullify the Fifth Amendment.
The Patriot Act did.
The Patriot Act doesn't have the authority to nullify the Fifth
Amendment. I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. That being said, in principle versus practice, the Patriot Act nullified first, second, third, fourth, fifth, maybe sixth, maybe 7, 8, 9, and 10. And what are you supposed to do about it? Because I guarantee you right now, here's the problem. I don't condone rioting. Rioting is a bad thing. Don't destroy people's shit. I think that's a pretty simple concept to understand and grasp and comprehend. With that being said, you go stand up against the invasion that's happening. What are you? You're a rioter. You're a domestic terrorist.
Domestic terrorist.
You are no different than Tim McVeigh if you go stand up against it. And I'm not condoning what Tim McVeigh did.
You're worse off than Timothy McVeigh because Timothy McVeigh
was
happened before the Patriot Act.
Pre-Patriot Act.
He had more rights than domestic terrorists do today.
Like, the faster you get this thought out of your head of domestic terrorism is this big, big thing. Like, and I'm going to say this, and this... if you... This is personal. What I'm about to say is personal. If you had stopped being so damn afraid of Muslims for so long, you wouldn't be in the position you're in right now.
Conservatives were so scared of Muslims they didn't even care who was in the White House.
No, and they didn't care what they passed. They didn't care how they did it because Osama bin Laden was going to knock down their front door and say Aloha snack bar and crack off an S-vest and blow their entire family up.
I've seen enough Fox. You've seen the meme. I've seen enough Fox News to know that Antifa is going to attack my local Dairy Queen.
Exactly. Like, and there's part of this thing because it's like you get this moment in time of going, Antifa is not a real thing.
It's not an organization by
it's
normal
not
terms.
It's not even it. Somebody made this argument. It's as bad as real as 3%ers. There are 3%er groups out there.
Yeah. Except,
but you have to.
3%ers won't get off their couch when it actually matters.
I think some of them would if it was a different person in the White House right now.
Yeah.
But Daddy Trump's there.
Yeah.
And Daddy Trump trumps all.
Fascism's okay as long as it's Republican.
Fascism's okay as long as you're Republican. Communism or socialism, no, fuck that. Communism's okay as long as it's a Democrat. But we've come to the point in society where people are rioting, and rioting by virtue is the voice of the unheard. So that being said, they are rioting because they're unheard.
Yeah.
Now, we can debate and discuss for decades. Like you and I could sit here for decades if it was physiologically possible and debate and discuss and try and dissect why they are unheard. Is it because of color? Is it because of race? Is it because of creed? Is it because of socioeconomic status? Why are they being unheard? Why is nobody doing anything about it? We could discuss this for decades. And I guarantee you, if we did 8 to 10 hours a day discussing this for decades, every single day we would come up with a different answer, a different solution, a different reasoning behind how we got here based off of statute and precedent and legalization beyond legalization of legalization on top of trying to moralize America, on top of making Karen and Dylan feel okay when they walk into Walmart because they don't want to see 2 women kissing in the tampons aisle. We could debate this for decades because we live in a very red state. We live in one of the states that still have blue laws on the books. We wholeheartedly live in the depth of depravity when it comes to we can't sell Jack Daniels in Walmart because it's going to offend somebody. So we have passed the point of stupidity. And we have passed the point of free market because crony capitalism means if Jack Daniels or Jim Beam wants to sell their product in whatever fucking store that will sell it, they have the right to. Therefore, you're past the point of free market. You're past the point of true capitalism.
Yep.
And you are wholeheartedly past the point of how do we deal with this issue that says, okay, these people are being unheard, and by God, now they're going to be heard.
Or they're going to be thrown in a van.
And this is the problem with this. 10 years ago, every freaking Republican I know was a Tea Party person.
Yep.
Oh, it ain't going to stop us. We'll burn it down. Well, you didn't have the balls to burn it down, and now people are burning it down because of over-policing and over-moralization and over a prison system and over criminalization of stupid shit. And you're like, throw them in jail, send the feds in, call in SEAL Team 6, shoot those motherfuckers. Fuck you guys. You're hypocrites and you're cowards. At the very best, you're liars. The middle ground is you're a hypocrite, and at the worst, if you were at a Tea Party rally, any Tea Party rally, especially the one I was at 10 years ago in Washington, D.C., with hundreds of thousands of people, if any person was at that, and now you're saying, well, throw them in jail, shoot those motherfuckers, you're a coward. You're a coward. And there's a total peaceful solution out of this that nobody wants to talk about. Start repealing stuff. Nobody wants to talk about that because everybody wants a war. Everybody has to come to violence before they actually sit down and say, hey, maybe, we shouldn't give you $230 ticket for a taillight as a stack on charge because we found dope in your car and we don't like your life choices. We don't like your morality. Therefore, we're going to start stacking shit on top of shit on top of shit and just financially ruin you for the rest of your life.
Well, it bewilders me that nobody is actually thinking, maybe there's actually a solution here that doesn't involve putting people in prison, that doesn't involve shooting people, that doesn't involve beating people's skulls in.
That doesn't involve black bagging people?
Yeah.
And you heard this argument earlier. This whole Fed argument violates the Third Amendment.
Yeah, maybe.
And I guarantee you,
there's not a lot of precedent there.
That's the problem. Here's the trick. Is there any?
It's been a while.
Because we're talking about an amendment that most people can't even think about what it has to obtain or apply to.
It's quartering of troops. Troops shall not be quartered in peacetime.
In peacetime.
I don't know when the last precedent was set other than earlier this year. And that was COVID related. I mean,
that was COVID related, but before that, 1812.
I'm guessing somewhere around 1860, but I don't know. I mean, nobody deals with this amendment because it's never used.
But the problem is, you can't deny service to a federal agency due to the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act. You can't. You have to have a reason to deny them based off something other than their job.
Right.
Well, therefore, if Hampton Inn wants to deny them based off of moral political differences, they can't, because what's your reason for denial? Well, they're federal agency. Well, under the Patriot Act, you have to give them service, and you have to give them the standardized government rate, or you lose all government privileges to house government employees, which for hotels, especially in military towns, is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Tell me how that does not directly violate the Third Amendment. You are forcing them to house troops. Well, they're not technically troops. No, they're a standing army. Like, they're a standing army. Law enforcement is. There's 750,000 police officers in the United States. Spill it. You got something.
Well,
I can see it.
I was just thinking about constitutionally, the Army has to be. I think their contract has to be less than 2 years, or whatever term you want to use for that. Their enlistment has to be for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because Article 1, Section 8,
Mm-hmm.
Army can only be established for 2 years. I'm curious how you define Army.
True.
Because I'd never really thought about that before. I always thought, Army is Army.
Army is Army, military.
But
How do you define a standing army?
How do you define Army?
A standard trained and armed force. But this goes back to, you can drag that into a Second Amendment argument of define militia.
I know. Well, that's been litigated a little bit more carefully.
Because I've always said, if you want to define militia underneath what most leftists will say is the militia,
yeah,
it's law enforcement.
Yeah.
So
Third Amendment specifically says, no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. So how do you define soldier?
Armed and trained. That's a fine line, man.
I don't know.
If
I had a couple hours, I could probably do the research, but I just now thought of that. I don't know.
Because I guarantee you there's no precedent for it.
There probably is somewhere. There's probably a legal definition somewhere.
But then take into the fact that that legal definition apply the reasonable person standard of today. They're in multicam. They're in bump covers. They're in tack helmets. They're in high ride tack helmets.
Yeah.
They're in body armor. They have assault weapons. They've got tear gas.
So the question becomes, what's the difference?
What would a reasonable person believe?
Looks like military to me.
Looks like military to me. At that point, looks like military to me. People have got to stop breaking this such a narrow purview of, well, it doesn't say United States Army on it. It says federal agent. All right, Jimbo.
Well, if you're taking the strictest interpretation, you could say, oh, these aren't Army, these are Marines.
Exactly. Or they're not Army, they're sailors. They're not Army, they're airmen.
They're not soldiers.
They're not. How do you define a soldier? If you pull up a picture of a deck crew operator or...
Well, the strictest definition is a soldier is in the Army. But the widest definition would get us to pretty much anybody in federal employ who's in
armed and trained,
military gear, armed and trained. It would be the phrase.
Yeah, armed and trained. A well-regulated militia. Boy, you want to blur two amendments real quick? A well-regulated militia See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is like, this could be a constitutional crisis. Beyond, like, this is a bigger constitutional crisis if people actually paid attention than JoJo winning a state.
The sad part is you think it's a constitutional crisis because it's a Third Amendment issue. It's a Fifth Amendment issue.
Is it?
Are you depriving people of life, liberty, or property without due process of law?
Define due process. Because they don't have due process due to the Patriot Act.
I hate you so much. Because the Patriot Act is a violation of the Fifth Amendment.
Hey, they just passed the brand new National Defense Authorization Act.
I don't want to hear about it.
Oh, it's awesome.
I'm sure the indefinite detention of U.S. citizens.
No, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there.
It always is.
So is the unnotified seizing of weapons for any DoD personnel.
You're going to have to explain that. The
Red flag laws.
DoD personnel are seizing weapons.
DoD has the right.
Right. Okay.
To seize weapons without warning, without warrant, of any DoD personnel accused of abuse or harm to themselves or others.
Just wanted to make sure they weren't seizing them from DoD personnel because that didn't make much sense. But...
I mean, they are, but they aren't. Yeah, it's in the National Defense Authorization Act now. Have fun.
But I'm glad our state passed a law against that. Did Oklahoma actually pass a law against that?
The anti-red flag law?
Yeah.
I think so.
So
I don't,
stupid.
because if it did, I can tell you we probably passed it.
That entire thing was so stupid because if you actually looked at what they were passing, like counties did this, states did this, everybody was trying to do this. If you actually read it, it was like illegal seizure of weapons from law-abiding citizens. And I was like, that's like so, like you don't even understand. You don't even understand what those terms mean because
law-abiding citizen. That's all I'm gonna say.
Nobody's a law-abiding citizen anymore, and all seizure of weapons is legal if you pass a law about it.
Yeah. Welcome to America.
It's just so stupid.
Welcome to 2020.
This world we live in is just so stupid.
Different parallels.
Are you going to explain that?
No, I'm not going to explain. You want to explain that? How about it? Because the next thing you know, we'll be on coast to coast.
So, Greg and I have known each other for a couple of years, and we talk back and forth, and we've both been registered Republican as long as I've known about it. I mean, I've never been registered anything else. Have you?
No.
No. Okay.
I've been a registered. Well, let me take that back. Since I've known you, no.
Okay, so that's interesting. Didn't know that. So for years we've been talking back and forth about politics. One of our favorite characters is Maxine Waters because for years we've watched her and it's always been entertaining because
she's so senile.
She's a little crazy. But
she's lost. She's off a rocker.
What did she say today though? She said something that we both looked at each other and we're like, this is awkward because I kind of agree with her.
It equates to an invasion.
Is that what she said?
Yeah. No. What she said was, this is a dry run.
Oh, yes. That Trump is going to try and use this to maintain control.
Yeah. If he lost the election, this is a dry run to have federal agents stop. If you disagree with the election results, right. This is a dry run to see if you got federal agents hold the ground and stay in power.
And he has previously said he might not accept election results. He said that last election too, and then he won, and it was kind of awkward. But she said that, and I was like, I kind of almost said that the other day, not in those words.
Not in those words, but everybody's thinking it.
Yeah.
Like everybody's thinking it. Except Republicans, because Republicans are totally going to be about, Daddy Trump lost, they rigged the election, we got to go to war. Go give me a pack of Keystone.
Bring the National Guard and the Army. Restore order. Donald Trump needs to be in the White House. People are so brainwashed by
Does
the
this
news.
not fucking sound like 1933 to you? Is this not 1933 all over again?
I'm impressed you brought that up.
Why?
Because so few people actually know what happened in 1933.
Yeah.
If you're referring to what I think you're
Yes, I
referring to.
am, and I almost don't want to even make the reference to it because that invokes so many stereotypes like that.
Just Google Smedley Butler 1933.
Yes.
That's all you have to do.
Oh.
I mean, if the guy gets a congressional hearing, I think there's got to be something to what he's saying. Something.
This is like intercontinental repeating 1933 right in the middle of America. It's the
Hey, you want to hear something funny?
The state of America?
You know how Epstein didn't kill himself? In that particular congressional hearing, about a week after that, the next prize witness died of pneumonia. I wrote a paper on that my senior year in college.
At what point do we look up? We're like, okay.
Shoot. It just gets worse the more I think about it.
It's 1933.
All the people allegedly named in Congress on that day were the most powerful and wealthy people in the United States.
Oh, man.
I just hate this world so much.
But you're a pacifist. You don't want to do anything about it.
Oh, no, I'm not going to go blow up any buildings or anything. Worst I'm going to go do is stand on a street corner and...
With a sign?
Yeah.
Okay, Dylan. Jesus.
Don't touch my dockers. That's my new favorite catchphrase.
Don't touch my dockers. Mine's who sold my son a gram for $100.
Oh my gosh. The YouTube audience is getting depressed.
Why are they getting depressed?
Because the world sucks.
I mean, it does suck. Like, you can shoot your way out of this situation, or you can fuck your way out of the situation, or you can just fucking shoot your way out of the situation at this point.
I'm still a pacifist, but you know I love memes. And the meme for that one is, why not both?
Because the Czechs are going to get angry if we keep talking about repeating their famous scenes.
We're not even halfway done yet, and this is already a train wreck.
But it's our train wreck. That's why it's so fun.
All aboard.
Welcome to the Millennial Rogan Show, where rabbit holes are abundant. And we don't even smoke weed while we do this.
I thought about taking a drink before we went on. Didn't do it. Probably should. I'm good. No. Not that stuff. Are you okay? Did you take a drink before we went on?
No.
Are you sure? Do you remember?
I know the backstory to that.
I'm not drinking any more of that. What is going on with our YouTube comments right now? Oh my god.
They sabotaged you. Like if you would.
I'm just gonna turn that off.
They totally sabotaged you. Oh. You good?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay. Oh. Okay. They sabotaged you in the exact same way that these mayors are attempting to sabotage Trump, and Trump is trying to sabotage these mayors. It's all political. Like at some point, we have to agree that this is political versus practical, right?
Which mayor was it that got tear gas? Because he
I want to say it was Portland.
Was it Portland? Yeah, probably. It was probably Portland. Everything seemed like it was going okay. I mean, there was a little bit of unruliness, but come on.
Well, okay, and
they
here's the big one. Did you see what the Philadelphia 88 or the Philadelphia DA said?
No.
Out of these cops, will arrest any federal agents who break the law, period. And we will file charges against them. Now.
Mad respect for that ADA or DA or whoever.
It was actually the district attorney.
I really don't want to move. That's kind of tempting, though.
Okay.
Are they actually going to do it? Is the next question.
File charges. It won't stick. You know why?
Because what show are we on?
Qualified immunity. That's why it won't stick. These people can do whatever they goddamn please, and you know it, because what do they have? Qualified immunity. Anything they do that is under statutory regulation as okay is going to be covered under qualified immunity. He hates 2020 now. Like,
I'm not Barbara Walters, but this is 2020.
Because they've got anything that gets done is 100% covered under qualified immunity. That black bagging the other night, qualified immunity. That the Navy veteran that got his wrist broken, qualified immunity.
Yeah. Who was not violent.
Who was not violent.
Not destructive.
And have you ever seen federal agents in real life? Like guys they're sending out there?
Not like this, no.
They're huge. Like anabolic kind of huge.
Not going to touch that because my dad and I talk about that a lot.
Anabolics? Or roid abuse in law enforcement?
Kind of, yes.
But seriously, they're huge. They're not small guys.
He gets into like conspiracy theories about it, which some of them are starting to make sense.
Now I want to know. Tell me later. Like now I want to know that.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, because there are massive. Like these guys are not small dudes. They're like I'm 6'1", 200 pounds, and I'm not I'm not fluffy. What did you say one day? I have muscle definition and you've got bones?
Yeah, something like that. I'm incredibly bony.
Oh, God. What? You just said bony and the YouTube comments are going to go stupid. I can see it coming right now. Like, I'm waiting for the 5-second delay.
I'm going to start calling you Fluffy, though.
Nope, there it is.
Because you just said that.
Somebody thought I was going to be fluffy, and then they met me in person, and I wasn't fluffy.
I mean, you've got a beard now.
True, I am fluffy. I'm a little fluffy. Oh.
I should not be.
You should not be allowed to talk sometimes.
I shouldn't be watching YouTube.
Sometimes, like, I can't wait till this new setup gets here. You know why? I'm gonna have a mute button because if you even remotely think about saying bony, I'm gonna be like, click.
It's getting worse.
Do you think this stops anytime soon? Seriously?
Well, we've got an election coming up, so probably not.
You know when it'll stop?
After the election.
You know what the day after the election is?
Wouldn't happen to be the 5th, would it?
It's the 5th of November.
This is going to be very interesting.
Oh.
Ironically, I think that movie may have... Did that took place in
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
What?
Remember.
When did the world go from, like, you know...
The 5th of November.
Go from, you know, crackhead to full-on blown, just...
Fucked.
Yeah.
When did Donald Trump get elected?
This is... was gonna say this is like a bad movie, but that wasn't a bad movie.
No, apparently at this point it was prophecy. This is what I don't understand though, and this is my biggest gripe with all of this. 90% of these people who want violence, finish that sentence,
aren't ready to do it.
Are too much of a coward to do it. I don't remember. I think it was Orwell. Was it Orwell that said people sleep peacefully at night because there are men standing by on their behalf, ready to commit violence on their behalf?
May have been. Yeah.
I want to say it was Huxley or Orwell.
I don't know. See, if it were Huxley, I should know that.
Yeah, because you're a huge Huxley fan.
I am a little bit of a Huxley fan.
And I'm an Orwell fan.
I don't know.
Somebody, I can't remember who said it. It was said in like 50s or 60s. People sleep peacefully at night because men stand at the ready to commit violence on their behalf. So, at what point do we look up and we're like, this is crossing a boundary of no return? You can drive an hour and a half after you get done with this.
So I'm not the only one reading the YouTube comments.
No, I'm just reading them out of the side of my head.
Apparently the dog wants to go with me.
Oh, God. But at what point do we stand up and we're like, and you can't stand up and say this, because you stand up and say this, you're just as bad as they are. You legitimately are coming to a point where there is no going back. Like, this is Stasi. This is Brown Shirt. This is Secret Police. This is every single thing we have griped about the last 80 years about why we couldn't do this, couldn't do that, well, you don't want to be like the communists. You don't want to be like the Stasis. You don't want to have brown shirts in America, do you? What the fuck do you think is happening?
I'm trying to remember. There was a song, I want to say in the 60s or 70s. Back in the USA.
Yeah.
And then was it the Beatles that came out with a song, "You Don't Know How Lucky You Are to Be Back in the USSR"?
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to 2020. It's here.
But as bad as that sounds, it's like we legitimately are on the verge of there is going to be secret police that do not have to identify themselves, that do not have to follow due process, that the Constitution doesn't mean fucking jack to, that are going to be enforcing some sort of law that they think is okay on American streets. Because here's the thing, federal law enforcement, unless they changed it, but as of 2010 or 2011, the federal law enforcement oath of honor did not have in it state and local laws. I swear to protect the Constitution. I swear to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and enforce all federal codes and ordinances to the best of my ability, so help me God. There you go. So how are they going to go enforce a curfew under a local ordinance when they can't have the authority to do so?
Because the law doesn't matter anymore.
Because the law doesn't matter anymore. The entire premise behind qualified immunity means that the law no longer matters as long as you're a part of the selected class. Qualified immunity, both written and unwritten, both legal and unsaid, basically create a separate class that you're never going to compete with. You and I mean, hell, I was part of it. And I don't understand this. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to do it in front of people, but I never felt like I was different than you. Like, I never felt like I was like, well, I'm the police. Like, I never felt that way.
Really?
No. Which is maybe I didn't drink the right Kool-Aid.
Because I hear a lot of police and former military talk about, well, I call it us versus them talk.
No, it wasn't, but like, I would debate you on issues that I was on the other side of.
Right.
But I never looked at you differently because I was a cop and you weren't. Hell, you know some of the people I hang out with.
Yeah. But I hear a lot of talk from cops that think they're,
maybe I
missed.
Maybe I should have brought bottled water to the academy and just drank out of the cooler. Like, I missed something somewhere because I was still human. Like, you saw me in uniform, you saw me out of uniform.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't change. I looked better in uniform.
Maybe I'm not following. I don't know.
I never had that mental, I never had that, I guess, cognitive realization that I was a separate class.
Oh. Okay. I mean, it might not be conscious, but I definitely see that.
But obviously, a bunch of these people are like, well, I can get away with it. What are they going to do? But I never had that I'm in a different class. I'm in a more protected class than you. Maybe the farthest extent of that was I was less likely to get a speeding ticket. You know what I mean? Like, there was that professional courtesy. But I never had that moment in time where I'm like,
what do you mean professional courtesy?
Cops don't write cops tickets. Most of the time, cops don't write cops tickets.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Professional courtesy goes way beyond cop to cop.
What do you mean?
Fire, EMS, paramedics, doctors, nurses.
That's right.
Most of the time. First line and second line responders most of the time will get professional courtesy.
So are all first responders then part of the privileged class?
To some extent, yeah.
Huh.
And if you think about it, MDs actually are less privileged than police.
MDs meaning medical doctors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can still get sued for malpractice as a physician.
Can't do that as a cop.
You can't do that as a cop. You can't really do it as a firefighter.
I'm going to say a lot of jurisdictions, firefighters have a lot of protection from liability, which, to be fair, is probably not a bad thing.
But it's still more legality.
Yeah.
Like, it's still, like, especially in smaller, tighter knit communities, if the cop, like, because the cops are going to see the fire EMS people every day of the week, damn near.
Right.
Or you're in the same zone or the same section and you work the same districts and yada, yada, yada. Like,
that's what shocked me about Breonna Taylor because
she was an EMT.
Yeah. But
who knows? Did that? I don't know, man. Because just as much as that is true, there's also very, very, very much cliques inside of all of those communities.
Right.
So, at what point do you? And I don't even think, because you're never going to solve the human issue of making separate classes.
Right.
Because you're never going to solve that outside of 100% brainwash. That being said, how do you solve the legal side of it? Because the legal side is a whole nother.
Right.
There's actually legally protected classes within qualified immunity, and the federal agents that Trump has just deployed or is deploying to these metros basically can run roughshod.
Right.
I say this not as a phrase, but I say this in all seriousness. They can rape, pillage, and destroy, and not a damn thing can be done to them. Wrap that around your head. Tell me a recourse, because you're not going to get the victim to testify. Rape, pillage, and destroy. Now define the difference between what is going on right now and the brown shirts. Jesus, would you just spit it out?
I just realized that this is not. This sounds really familiar, and it sounds a lot like wartime. Stuff like this happened during the Civil War.
Yeah, it did.
It did. Like they burned people's houses. They raped women in these towns.
You had to throw burning houses in there.
Sorry. I'm sure yours was unintentional.
Mine was 100% unintentional.
Well, you didn't do it.
No. Yeah, no.
But
all of that air conditioner sat on my front porch for. Never mind.
I'm just saying.
I've dissected this a lot, Matt. Do you believe? Okay, I'm going to ask this question before you get there.
Okay.
Are we in the middle of another civil war?
It's starting to look like it.
Is it 1860 or is it 1863?
Well, we are just before an election. The difference is going to be interesting because in 1860 you had a new president coming in. This year we're talking about whether or not one's going to stay in.
Lenin, Stalin, who was the third? That Stalin ended up killing in Mexico. Trotsky.
Yeah.
Is it a repeat? Because, I mean, we're...
Who's who?
Trump's Lenin.
Who's Stalin?
Junior.
Okay, that actually makes sense.
It does.
So who's Trotsky?
I don't know. That Pence, maybe?
No.
Find a moderate. That won't... Rand Paul.
No, because Rand Paul doesn't share the same ideals. See, the thing you have to remember is...
They all shared the same ideals.
They all shared the same ideals, except Trotsky wanted a worldwide revolution.
Yeah.
And Lenin said, no, we're not doing that. We don't have the resources to do that.
They didn't have the resources to do what they did.
Well, yeah. Welcome to socialism.
Welcome to... See, communism. It's communism.
Oh, no, true communism's never been tried.
Communism never tried.
But that's... They all shared the same ideals. They just had different scales in mind, and it was enough that one wanted to kill the other.
Ooh, Romney.
Well, I was going to say probably either...
That just got said. Romney. I could see that one.
I was tempted to say something like Clinton.
See, I was too.
But, I mean, they're in a different party, but...
Same ideals.
Yeah, roughly.
One wants to... Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
World's getting really awkward right now.
We're going to do an episode.
On Trotsky?
On
or
Lenin and Trump. We're going to do an episode paralleling. That was the right word. Paralleling.
Yes, but every time you say parallel now, I get triggered.
Because what did I say today? Okay, this is what I jokingly told him. I grew a beard. I run around in Toms all the time. And I wear my hat backwards 90% of the time. If I had moved to California with family, like I wanted to and could have when I was 17, this would have been me now anyway. Stayed in Oklahoma for a girl who now works for the Trump administration.
Just the parallel dimensions are awkwardly close right now, and I don't like it.
Well, you want to do this? We're going to do an episode on...
The other thing is...
There it is. He finally made his appearance.
Oh, no, he was behind you earlier.
Yeah, but now he's on camera.
That was a really great shot of his butt.
Yep. I'm telling you, they're going to make an edit video, an edit reel of this.
You can at least face the camera, dude. There you go.
Your head's in the way now.
Is it in the way?
Yeah.
Oh, darn. Other way.
Other way. There you go. We'll do a parallel episode of...
That's mine, thank you.
Welcome to Living Your Hotel, ladies and gentlemen.
You're not Joe Biden and I'm not a lady, so stop.
We're going to do an episode, and we're going to parallel the last two presidents versus Lenin, Stalin. No, Lenin, Mussolini, and Hitler.
I'm already worried about this because
I'm right.
We have this thing where we end up being prophetic without meaning to, and it's really starting to concern me because Trump is loved enough that he could be the new Lenin.
Yeah, he could.
I could see him being pickled and put in a glass jar.
Yeah, he could.
Just like Lenin.
And the other side of that,
I hate this world so much.
He could also be the Fourth Reich.
I don't like this. We need to stop. We need to stop making predictions.
I'm not making a prediction. I'm making a possibility. Lenin and Hitler had a baby, and it's somewhere it came out between Obama and Trump. And all you can get pissed off at me like, Barack Obama wasn't Donald Trump. Shut the fuck up. Barack Obama was this much less worse than Donald Trump at this point.
Have you seen the meme of Barack Obama and it says drone enthusiast at the bottom?
Oh my god. Like, Barack Obama bombed more countries than the three presidents before him combined. Ugh. That being said.
Oh my, look at the time.
Your new nickname is Sheldon. You did that perfectly. You literally just pulled off a Sheldon Cooper.
Was that a Sheldon Cooper?
Oh my god. Because you did the dialogue, mannerisms, everything. Oh wow, that was creepy. Anyway. What do you think is going to come of it?
I don't know, but I'm going to start keeping a tally of our predictions that come true. Because was it last night that we're talking about Ghislaine?
Yeah, Maxwell. And today they released. Yeah,
they did exactly.
They did exactly what I said they should do. 12 hours after I said it.
And then a couple years ago, in a conversation between you and me,
we predicted
the Iranians.
It was the Iranian
launching an ICBM.
Yep, and helping the Koreans do it.
No, I think it went the other way around.
No, yeah, it was the Koreans helping the Iranians. Whew. We're getting good at this.
I hope not. We just predicted something really bad.
Seriously though, do you think something comes out of this for real?
I've never wanted to be so wrong in my life.
Do you think there's actual confrontation? Lexington and Concord, or is it the British Tea Party?
If that's the only way this
gets... Boston Tea Party.
British Tea Party. If that's the only way this gets fixed, I kind of hope it happens. Because I don't want to live in 1930s Germany or Italy or 1950s Russia, which
1930s Russia.
We're pretty darn close to 1950s Russia right now.
Karen and Dylan. Karen and Dylan. Oh, did you see the side note? Did you see the whole Missouri thing? They filed charges against them.
I did see that they had charges.
Did you see that her gun was actually a prop and was inoperable? You're welcome. That being said,
why are there not news about that? Just Photoshop a phaser into her hand.
Lucas, tell people where they can find you on the social media.
The social media? Is that like getting on one of those internets?
You have one, therefore it is the social media.
I'm on Twitter at the Lucas Cohen, spelled with a C, not with a K.
Anything else? You still banned from Facebook?
I'm thinking about just not getting back on Facebook.
Yep, you're still banned from Facebook.
They've made it clear they don't want me to.
Oh.
I'm also on Keybase. Is that what you're asking about?
Oh my God, Sheldon. Lucas, shut up. Follow me on. What are you laughing about?
Nothing.
The list is coming down.
Yeah.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. At Greg J. Engel, Jerry G. J. I-N-G-L-E.
We also have a Facebook page.
It's called the Qualified Immunity Facebook page. And if you're watching this on Facebook, you're on it right now. If you're not, and you haven't liked it yet, get over it. Go to Facebook. That being said, Lucas?
What?
Do you have any particular sign-off?
I'm still working on it.
Oh, okay. He's still working on it. What?
My sisters used to be Peace Out Home Slice.
Oh, God, he is Sheldon Cooper. With that being said, I'm going to end this the way I end this every single night for my favorite music festival. The quote from my favorite music festival combined with my theme to life. Live today, love tomorrow, and unite forever. To Valhalla, guys.